Good morning.
Good morning.
So whoever's not here today already knows how to practice. They are practicing. Well, let's start with some music. Get into the mode. you. Please say hello to Amos. And to Enzo. The art of practicing. When Gila told me I have to do that, I said, oh, I have no answer, or plenty of answer. I think I've been playing now for 30 odd years and teaching all this time, and I think it's the art for me to find whatever works for you to get better. And on this journey,
that's all there is to it.
Yeah. And on this journey, make this journey happy and pleasant. And a few days ago, Tilo made a nice post on Facebook, and he said about what he says to his students. Tilo did some classical lesson when he was young, but then he's kind of autodidact, and he said, whatever you practice, whatever you listen, just enjoy every part of it. Look for the enjoyable in the rhythm, in the harmony, in the soloing. Listen as much music as you can, and try to enjoy and take it in. But at the same time, when he said that quote, I said it's also a little bit of luck who we growing up with, if our parents are jazz lovers or not, or if they hate it. If they hate it, of course, you will have less connection to jazz when you're young, for example. Or who's your teacher, and they will all put nice influence in you, hopefully. And on that note, well, I will just talk a little bit about my journey, and then I will, Amos will say his. And so I started playing flute when I was a kid, before 10, and then my parents said choose another instrument, and I chose guitar. So I did classical guitar for a year until I had suddenly a lovely jazz teacher, Francis Coletta, French guy, wonderful player. And about 12, I said to my father, that's what I'm going to do, music and play guitar. So he had no choice. But during all this time, I got lucky that my parents were into jazz and classical music. My father used to play saxophone. He's a doctor, but he had a little time for saxophone, and he had the chance to see Coltrane, Miles, and Monk in Paris when he was studying. So I'm very proud of my father. But at the same time, we live close to Montreux Jazz Festival, and every year I had the chance to go and see great things at Montreux Jazz. So that was also a big influence. I also had the chance to have a nice conservatoire in Fribourg, where I did a certificate, finished at 19, and during that time I had my great teacher. I had a harmony teacher, and I was playing in the big band of the conservatoire. So all this brought nice connection to jazz. And I have to say about my teacher, I was into rock, Metallica and Iron Maiden at the beginning. And what was great about him, he never said no to anything I was coming. I came with my leather jacket. Yeah, I want to learn some Motley Crue solo. Can we check this solo out? And he actually would transcribe the solo. Half an hour of the lesson, we would do that. Yeah, learn it for next week. And then he would say, well, maybe next week, check this Jobim tune out. And slowly he installed some lovely music into me while I was a wild kid. And anyway, I grew up slowly turning to jazz. Also, all this time, I loved writing music. And my beginning was, of course, a little bit more rock influence, Steve Vai, Van Halen. But I got slowly, through a great guitar player in the jazz fusion world, Scott Henderson and Frank Gambale, got into Chick Corea and slowly into this crazy harmony. And so I had this fusion band playing kind of rocky, but with lovely harmony. And I composed all the time, so which I love to do it.
In a way, it's great to go backward.
Yeah. I'm a mellow kid now. I was wild. So anyway, after conservatoire, I finished also a normal college, and I went to Berkeley for 3 years, and this was also an incredible experience where I met so many talented musicians, and I was faced with a lot of challenges, but I was getting deeper slowly into jazz and discovering Charlie Parker and Coltrane and Miles. And at the same time at Berkeley, I could stay I could continue my journey with Latin music, Latin ensemble, or pop and rock arranging. So it didn't stop me just growing with all the style while getting into jazz. And after that, I came back to Switzerland, did some playing with my band, and then moved to London with one guitar. And so I was now 25 years in London, and I met all those wonderful musicians, Enzo, John, and Jim. And of course, I met Gilad there. I had my own group, and before that, I also met my wife, who's Turkish. And this also, while traveling a lot to Turkey, I suddenly discovered how our Western music is so small. And suddenly there's this all Oriental music, which is vast and so much more to learn. So it doesn't mean that Western music is small, it's huge. Everything is huge, but it's infinite, I would say. And so anyway, I touched this Oriental sound, and I really fell in love. I fell in love with the instrument and with the sound and with the type of singing, the phrasing. And so I infused this into my writing and my band. And also this is when I met Gilad, and Gilad joined my group. We did 5 albums together. And what was also great with Gilad, I had all these ideas from different parts, and I used to bring tune, like really long tune. And one of the things I remember, we were preparing a record, and I brought this chart, and Gilad, will you play the tune? And at the end, Gilad's like, I can see he's not very happy. And suddenly he said, it's a lot of ideas, but this idea is great, this one in the middle. Why don't you get rid of everything and just keep this idea and work on that and build on that? And it was great. It was such a, at the same time, I spent all this time writing this music, but then he told me, focus on this and make something beautiful. That's beautiful. So, and that was also a great learning experience. And so Gilad, as you know who he is, it was a great fun journey. We toured about 10 years together, so it was really fun. And since then, I kept writing more and trying to get more influence in the jazz. Of course, all the music I write is jazz because there's improvisation, but all the influence from different folk music has been always really exciting for me, from flamenco, from tango, from Indian music, North African. There's so much, and sometimes I always want, in this album I want this, but then you have to attain it. And here we are. And also, the last thing I wanted to say, coming to this workshop for the last 8 or 10 years also has been really exciting. Once a year, meeting all those guys and seeing how everybody evolve and how good they are, and then share ideas and learn from all of them. It's just an endless learning part. It's really great. Thank you. The journey is just how you learn music.
Okay. So my journey is in some way similar, but in a lot of ways different. That I knew very young that I want to play music, like really young, and I started playing guitar when I was 6. But I hated practicing. I really didn't practice. Like my lesson was on, let's say, on Friday. I start practicing when I get back from school on Friday. you know? I was in love of the idea of playing music, but I wasn't like in love with playing music. So then I'll come home from school and I'll be like, okay. And I guess I was talented enough that the teacher kept me, but she like, man, you need to like practice. And I was like, yeah, right. And I kept it for years like that, until I was like teenage. I kind of survived the classes, but I wasn't like the great student of the bunch, you know. Probably like somewhere in the low register, a little bit above zero. And what make me, I related my everything I'm saying to the title of the practicing, how to practice, which actually I don't think there's an answer to that. That's a very challenging topic because, like you said, everyone got to find his way to do it. But then I moved and not because of the music, I had some problems. I was fighting with some kids, and I hate the teachers, and my father passed away, and I became just like the bad kid of the class. So my mother, she moved me to a music school because she knew the principal. Not because I was like...
So you've been told what to do.
Yeah, so then I went to that school, and there was a really good group of musicians. And that was the first year that they put jazz into the program. Before that it was completely classical, solfege and all that. So we were like the jazz kid. We were, all of a sudden I had friends that all of them, were the bad kids, were smoking behind the school and talking about girls and this. It's like the bad kids of the school, but they were like great musicians. They were all really talented and really into it. So then I said, if I want to play with these guys, I have to be better. I cannot just talk about this shit. I need to like actually play. So that's why I start practicing. To be with to have friends, to be with my friends. And and then I figured out that if you practice, you're actually getting better. And then after that, I moved to Holland. I spent 1 year in Amsterdam.
Nice.
And from there I moved to the States, to New York.
In Amsterdam, were you learning or were you just playing?
I was playing and smoking joints.
How old were you then?
I was 19.
So you moved to the States at 20?
20, yeah. And I stayed almost 10 years in New York. And I played with a lot of great musicians in New York. You know, New York is overflowed with amazing musicians. And that was like basically my school. And after that I moved to Israel. I taught for 14 years in different institutes. And after that I moved back to the States. And now I'm in the States. And now I want to move out.
For other reasons. Thank you. Well, I'm going to give you what worked for me in terms of practicing, and then we have some nice other guys who will hopefully join and have a different opinion or whatever works for them, and then we'll do a little bit of a question and answer with Amos. What worked for me was to make a program, practice program between 3 to 6 months and stick with it. And so obviously at the beginning it's enjoyable, and you know, day after day suddenly it's more hard work or whatever, but every few months it's good to question it and see what result happened. And so if I can see a result happen with those type of exercise, then I will continue. And if some other exercise, I don't like it, I get bored, and I make them badly, of course, it's time to change. And in that program, I used to break it down in 4 parts. The first part is actually take the stretching. That's something which, of course, we don't say enough, to be able to, especially as a guitar player and have a physical instrument, to be able to play all your life so many notes and exercise. Good to have a healthy hand. The reason I'm saying this, because I saw so many young students not doing this, and then at some point they work for 6 years really hard, and suddenly they have a problem with the hand and it all falls apart, and that's one of the saddest things. So whatever instrument, taking care of your body to make sure you can play. If you love playing, you want to be able to play for 50 years or more. So you don't want to be stopped one day because you have a problem here or elbow, etc. If you play the bass, you have to take care of this. Anyway, that's a small part. A few minutes of this, and I know it makes the whole difference to not have a problem. So the real first part is to take the instrument and play the music first, without thinking I need to do some exercise or stuff like this. I would play usually maybe a classical piece or flamenco piece or a jazz standard, and just do what I love. So that's the reason I will practice. So get into that mood, just as we did this morning. Okay, we're going to talk about practice, but let's just play a tune, because it's what we do, and it was beautiful. The next step would be, of course, taking care of the technique parts, learning scale, practicing scale, increasing the speed, improving the time, doing arpeggios, playing motif, whatever is physical, and of course you want to become a more able player, so all the technical part would be the next step. The following step would be the learning step. For example, if I need to transcribe a solo, that's the learning step. Analyze the solo, whatever the player is doing, understanding what they do, learning a style, working on my time, improving my soloing, all this kind of thing. That's the learning part. And the last part, after I've done enough of that, it's play again. Go back to where I started. Maybe play the same tune as I started with, or play some more standards, or playing some rock, let it go. So I always enjoy that. And this is either, even if I play 2 hours a day or 6 hours, I would break it down like this. To always start with playing, a bit of technical parts, learning part, and then back to playing. So that worked for me until now. And of course, as I said from the beginning, this is something which has to change or be questioned every 3 to 6 months to adapt to whatever you are at the moment. Okay? Do you have a suggestion, or what worked for you?
I mean, I almost never worked as organized, but
I am Swiss, though.
I did have a period that I did kind of like a program to my practicing, but I'm not going to talk about that. I want to say something from a different angle.
Nice.
Practice slow. Practice slow. Whatever you want to do it slow. You won't be able to get it fast. If you get it slow, you can speed it up. If it's not working slow, it's not going to work fast. So like this, somebody told me that many years ago, and I thought, yeah, what an idiot, leave me alone. And after that, I was like, that's a genius. Somebody told me, if you want to play fast, you practice slow. If you want to practice, if you want to play really fast, practice really slow. And I'm like a big fan of metronome. I think the metronome is like your best friend. He will never lie to you.
He will never like you.
He will never lie. He will never, he'll show you exactly where you are. So for example, if I want to practice rhythm changes, I want to play over rhythm changes, I'm going to practice it about this tempo. 1, 2, 3. I'll do that for about half an hour. And then also, because you're working slow, you can develop ideas. And then, if I'm trying to get faster, I will start increasing it. But it's definitely not going to work fast if it's not working slow. There's no way you're going to be able to play if you can do it slow.
Nice. And so, would you like to share the way you're learning history?
Still learning.
Still.
It's an endless journey.
Yeah.
Personally, my approach to music was instinctive. Despite that, then I studied piano. I went to the conservatory, studied classical piano. But at the same time, I went to drums lesson because I was playing around the kitchen, everything was there, I was playing. So my parents, luckily, and my brother, my older brother, he is a musician himself. He plays piano
nice.
and guitar.
Good influence to you, yeah?
So of course, he wasn't doing it intentionally because he was doing for himself, of course. But I was getting information from what he was listening. So I had I've been lucky to listening to the Beatles at the same time of John Coltrane and Mingus and Simon and Garfunkel. So I didn't ask myself what kind of music is this. I was just enjoying the music.
Yes.
So that's why to me music is only one. Music is good music and bad music, like Duke Ellington used to say.
Yeah.
So there's no frontiers. There's no, and so. Yeah.
Did you have like any practice schedule, like a technical or
I tried for a while.
or...
I tried for a while, but I have to say I'm a little bit more like Amos. I never finished a drums method, for example. I did some pages, but I never get to the end. in a way.
I understand, man.
In a way, yes, but. I spent hours. To me, it was much easier to stay 8 hours on my instrument by playing along records, listening,
yes.
instead of doing 1 hour just.
You were playing along the records.
Yeah, for me, it was much easier, and it still is. For example, during COVID time. I got back to my ritual when I was young, so it was good in a way because we are always on the road. You know, it's not easy. So in COVID time, I got back to my childhood.
Me too.
I got all the vinyl.
All the vinyl out.
And I was playing all days along the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix.
I started prescribing solos, which I didn't do for...
Because we had time,
I don't know, 30 years I didn't do it, and all of a sudden I was like, man, I have no gigs. I'm sitting at home watching television for hours, you know? I gotta like do something to like, it's like just like
To stimulate.
to feel a human being again. So I started transcribing solos, writing them down, and like stuff that I didn't do since I was, I don't know, 21.
And actually, it was great to, like a Proust, Marcel Proust, the writer. You go back to you discover the level of, oh wow. And I took some records that I didn't listen for 25 years, like, I don't know.
The reason why you start playing, isn't it? Why you love it.
So refreshing and say, oh man. And all of a sudden, you remember all the section for the songs, even if you didn't listen for 25 years, but it's there.
I gotta say something about that, man. Those of us that are like our age, or you remember that you were 14 or 12 or whatever, and you come from school, and there's nothing to do. Because television, they had like one channel, or you can see the news, you're like, man, homework, nobody, so you just lay on your bed and you put an album, and it's like so satisfying because that's all there is, you know? I remember like those albums, like you said, Janet, like I had this Bob Marley album that, man, I could sing the scratches, the scratches of the album.
And the scratches.
Yeah.
When you listen to it somewhere else, you know, somebody else has the album has a scratch on it in a different place.
Nice.
And another very important thing to me, I think everybody should do it. I always had the attitude of singing. When I was a kid,
yes.
I was singing. And so that's the way I was practicing. Always singing and playing at the same time. So, which is the first step to the polyrhythm approach, because you have to be the singer, but you also have to be the bass player with the bass drum, and the drummer and the singer. So you are at least 3 people in the band already. So it's a good way. And another thing that I still doing, and my students, they know it really well because they are my students at the conservatory. So they think it's so boring, but, but that's what it is. To practice very slow with the metronome, and taking the metronome as a good friend, not as an enemy. I used to tell them, the metronome is called Jose, he's from Cuba, he played the cowbell. He doesn't have really many ideas in terms of creativity, but he's a killer in terms of time. So if you think metronome is Jose, and then you play around, but you know the beat is there. So it's up to you. If you want to play fast, again, it's very easy to practice with the metronome at 120, but it's a totally different thing if you practice at metronome 20, 25, because then it's up to you. If you want to play more notes, it's your responsibility. The first beat is here, the second beat is there. So it's up to you.
What you do in between.
Exactly. So, so this is another very important aspect for me, to take metronome as a part of the band. And the other thing is practicing, dynamically speaking, very soft. Not only slow, but soft. And this is I've been doing for many years, because I didn't have any cellar to study drums. So my drums was open drums in the house. So I was practicing very late at night at this volume, and try to keep the same energy. So you develop your own dynamic.
And we were talking about one of the greatest jazz guitarists.
Yeah, exactly. It was Montgomery, for example. He played with his thumb because of his neighbor. Because he was working daytime. He wasn't a musician, a full-time musician, which is incredible, because the greatest guitarist to me But when he was coming back home, the family was sleeping, the neighbors, of course, next door. So the only way for him was
To be quiet, yeah?
be very quiet and playing with his thumb with no aunt. So he's great. And for
Nice
me as
coincidence.
well, still is one of my daily practicing, coming back at 2 o'clock in the morning and put a Bill Evans record, or not necessarily a jazz record. Sometimes I play some funk, but very, very, very minimal. So you have to be very, very, very soft, but intense at the same time, which is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
this is my.
Thank you.
And I just want to add a couple of things to what the guys have been saying, because what you're talking about, what the result of that is, you end up being really in control of your sound, right? And sound is such a massive part of. It's almost the most important part of what we're doing, right? What we're doing either sounds good or it doesn't. And if it sounds good, it doesn't matter what it is. And I think like for me, there's a priority of what we work on, and I think of it like this: it's when, how, and then what. When does it sound? Like, did it sound yesterday? Has it not sounded yet? Is it in the future? Or does it sound now? Or does it sound now? So like time and placement for me is the most important thing, because without that, nothing exists anyway. And then, like, level with that, it's how does it sound? Does it sound good? Does it sound shit? Does it sound loud, soft, dark, bright, warm, you know, all of the descriptive qualities, all of those things, when and how, that's what makes it. And then what it is, whether it's a trumpet or a guitar or a major third or a dominant chord or the right note or the wrong note or whatever, is so far down the chain that, like, if it's in the right place and it sounds good, it doesn't matter what it is. So those two things you want to be working on, whatever you're working on, those are the things that you want to have, like, at the front of your mind. When does it feel good? Is it in the right place? And does it sound good? And I think very often we get tied up with the detail of, like, working on a specific theoretical thing, and those two things fall off. So whenever you're practicing, like this thing about practicing slow, that's working on your time and you're working on your sound.
Yeah.
And then it can be a scale exercise, or it can be rhythm changes, it can be improvisation, or it can be something written. But if you're working on it in time and with a good sound, then it's going to really serve you. So that's really important. And the other thing that I wanted to say is, the other thing we often focus on is our weaknesses. And that's really good to know your weaknesses. But if you'll never get all of your weaknesses up to the same level, and you'll never get all of your weaknesses up to the level of your strengths. And it's more important, I think, to identify your strengths, figure out what you're good at, and make sure that you give that enough time as well, and get better at the things that you're good at, because those are the things that make you who you are, individual, and it makes it fun as well, because it's fun to practice things that you're good at. Like, you don't only do that, but those are the things that you're gonna run with and like be able to play with and enjoy. So those are the two little points that I want to
Very
make.
nice.
And I would just add another couple of things very important to me. You can use one way or the other way around. For drummers, just listening not to the drummers. The drummers comes, to me, in my perspective, drums always come late. I always been attracted by the melody, the singing, and then from the other guys in the band, who, by the way, I used to say they were all drummers in disguise, because their rhythmical approach is so strong. To me, Sonny Rollins is a drummer. Charlie Parker was a drummer. Miles was a drummer. Just by chance they play another instrument, if you know what I mean. So I always get inspiration for my practicing from phrase that I was listening to Wes Montgomery. And then eventually developing that phrase.
I want to say something about what you said now.
So what I suggest, if you don't play the drums, get more into the drums. If you play the drums, pay attention to the saxophonist, trumpet player, pianist, trombone, guitar, whatever else, and then you will find the groove anyway. So that's to me.
I want to develop what he said because for me it's a very important thing. A part of like finding your own sound. A lot of time, in my experience, teaching, etc., people find themselves lost. How can I find something that is like my instrument, but sounds different than anything I heard? And the advice I gave to students, and the advice I gave to myself, prescribe solos that they are not your instrument. So for example, if you are a guitar player, and I really wanted also to prescribe something that you think is going to help you. And me as a guitar player, I prescribed, the most I prescribed was Clifford Brown, out of more than Wes, more than Joe Pass. Because I thought, when I was in New York, I was like, man, those 8 notes of Clifford Brown, that's what I want to sound. I want to have it's super tight, super clean. So I just like prescribed a bunch of like trumpet. And the other thing,
It sounds like a rudiment, no?
Yeah.
For the drums.
and the other thing I want to say to all of us, it might sound like maybe like hard. I used to say that to students, but when you know me, you know I'm saying that from a place of love. And the thing is this, it's very important to think about it, that nobody loves you, okay? And I'm saying that not, of course, your mother loves you, your boyfriend loves you, your friend loves you, but nobody cares if you sound good or not. The only one who cares about it is you. Like if now Enzo is like telling me, you know man, I actually found a job, I own a restaurant, I stopped playing music, and I'm very happy cooking omelets in the morning. I'll be like, man, good for you, you know? I'm not gonna be, you know, okay. I mean,
lost for music.
nobody cares about that, only you. So if you want to sound good, nobody loves you. You need to love yourself enough to be like, yes, you know, I want to do that really well. And what do I need to do in order to get from here to here? I need to do that slow, I need to have a metronome, I need to practice 20 hours a day, whatever it is. You're the only one that cares enough about that being the music in your life that's going to make you do it. And if you don't care, it's fine, you know. There's a lot of people who are doing other stuff in their life and they're satisfied, you know, or they do that as a hobby and they're never going to sound really good, because they don't practice that 8 hours of whatever it is that if you want to do it, you got to do it until it's perfect. Nobody cares about you.
I want to just add something to that as well, actually, about like choosing what to practice. And like choosing, especially for transcriptions, but not only, like anything, because there's so much material out there, there's so many different things we can practice and we can never cover it all. And there's a great piano player who worked with Dizzy, Hal Galper, who does a lot of teaching in Berkeley in the States. And he said a thing which really resonated with me a long time ago, which is when you're listening to music, when you get that feeling, when you get the chills on the hairs stand up, or you get a feeling where it really moves you, that's the thing to go after. And he says, when you get that feeling,
Yes.
it's because that piece, that sound, whatever it is already a part of you. That's why it makes you feel that way. And that's the stuff that you have to go after and like research and find out what it is, because it's already part of who you are. That's why it connects to you. And if there's something, don't practice stuff because you think you should, or because somebody else told you to. If it doesn't resonate with you, maybe it's not for you. You can try it. Who knows? But like the stuff that really makes you feel something, that's the stuff to go after.
There is something you feel at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you never heard it before, you feel at home. I remember first time I heard the bossa nova. To me, it was just like family.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's easy. Check, 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 check. Easy. But I never listened bossa nova before, so you get a. It's like a human, like.
But then,
Like
if
persons,
somebody,
there's someone you feel really.
if somebody connects with the bossa nova, but doesn't feel it, or what would be the journey?
To me, just to leave the music goes and let the music drive
Step
you.
one will be always to listen.
Listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, absolutely lay down and let the music tells you. The music will tell you what to do or not to do. That's my approach. And that's why I always tell the guys, even when you play long records, just put yourself in the back. We were talking yesterday about this. The music, the source of music, wherever it comes from, it could come from there. If you have to play here and the source of music is there, you have to step out. You have to cancel. You have to put yourself really back and give
Attention. Attention to them.
Because you can only play if you listen to wherever the music comes from. If you have a small speaker, for example, in the house for some reason, you have to deal with that volume. So that's why you have to put, it's an ego kind of thing. Because sometimes problems, especially with drummers, you play too loud and the music is disappeared. Where's the music is again?
Yeah.
So, but if you put yourself and give the music the primary voice, basically.
Yeah.
And step two, by the way, would be before then trying to like play it and grabbing your instrument and like opening a real book and looking for a chart and using your eyes, would be to just tap, sing along, use your body. Don't forget about your instrument. Just like try and get a physical, personal relationship going on with the music, so that you start to know it inside you. This is like this pulse stuff we're doing in the morning. It's all about that. It's all about trying to get it happening inside your body, because once it's in you, then it's much more likely that when you put it on your instrument, it's going to be authentic and relaxed and coming from a place of like knowledge. In order to know something, we have to internalize it, and listening, and then moving, maybe dancing or just clapping your hands or singing along. This is a really powerful way of doing it, and then you can put it on your instrument, and then you know whether it feels right or not.
Nice. Okay, I want to do, time flies, I want to do two more things. First, open a little bit, if anybody has a suggestion or actually a question or want to share, yeah?
Yeah, Wednesday was restaurant opening and make a reservation.
Do you need an answer? He belongs to the music.
No, he's already.
And eats good food.
I'm already got the job as the chef helper. So.
Anyone else? Yes?
Yeah, I have a suggestion because, I think one thing you didn't mention yet is maybe it's also
A
important.
bit louder, Fabien.
Okay, it's not just important how long you practice, because there's often the sentiment that you have to practice 40 hours a day and stuff like that. But it's also very important how focused you are in your practice. Like if you're just going through the motions and stuff, it's not gonna help you much even if you do it for 8 hours or something. Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah, I have a specific thing to say about that, because the science says that after about 15 minutes of working on one thing, the concentration level, the ability to absorb new information in the brain drops off by an enormous way. So even you can practice for 2-3 hours at a time, no problem, but it's really good to, if you're practicing for that amount of time, to be working on, say, 2 or 3 different things and to practice them in rotation for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour at a time, and then change, rather than spending 2 hours working on one thing, because, you know, after the second hour and a half would be a little bit of, not a waste of time, but it won't be as effective as the first.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe stamina, if you're like working, you know, if you're working with a bass player and you're trying to play at 300 BPM, then, you know, doing that for an hour is really, really good for you. But on a kind of muscular level. Otherwise,
I totally agree, but I think there's something, maybe it's not direct related to that, but it is related, at least for me. So there's like practicing that you enter the room, you close the door, now it's 8 in the morning, I practice until 10 o'clock. And you do your rudiments and whatever it is. But there's a lot of like, you know, especially when you see some kids and this kid is like watching TV and going like, he's watching TV, he's not practicing, he's not thinking about this, but he's doing it.
yeah.
For me personally, I love that zone. That's a good zone for me. I like to write music. Like when my kids were small, they'll be playing here, and one is shitting her diaper over there, and the TV is with some kids. I don't know, Bob the Builder or whatever, and I'll be like, okay, I changed the diaper. You just like have it around, kind of like a part of your
Full house.
Full house, yeah.
Gary Burton never had a serious practice routine. Apparently, he had the vibraphone was in the corridor in his house when he was growing up, and he would every time he would walk past the vibraphone, he would just pick up the balance, play a tune, and then carry on.
I wrote more music watching Bob the Builder in that sound more than now I have my room, I have my instruments, I can record it, and I barely get into that room. Honest to God, I sit on the couch and but the kids are gone, but I'm still on the couch.
And also another thing is very important to me. I spend more time practicing playing in the car, in my car, than on the actual drums. Because in the car you can use. Especially when you're doing or whatever. It's a good way because you can find the sound for the bass drum and for the snare drum.
I mean, I love red lights because especially if you're turning left, you've got the indicator on. Sometimes it goes green and you're like,
That's also the only place you have CDs anymore.
Exactly. No, we don't need that. There are a lot of cars they don't have CDs anymore. But also like a metronome.
When it's raining, yeah? When it's raining, it's a good thing. When it's raining,
you can take advantage of everything. You just use your imagination, pure imagination.
Any other succession question, please?
I wanted to make a comment on what you just said. One thing I noticed for myself, something I would call place or convenience play a role for me. I have instruments in the basement as well, and I never go there because I feel it's not a bad basement. It's like it's wet. I feel isolated from the world, at least I do. And I sort of, it's like almost a punishment to go down there. Whereas in the living room, or the common is disturbing, but you sort of feel so part of the world.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I used to have a guitar next to the sofa.
I always have.
And for a very practical reason, it moved across the room. This practically half of my practice time. Now I would only have to get up just as far as I would need to go And so place and convenience for me, I know
No, he's totally making sense.
Is a good point.
I have a couch, I have wood on one side and the guitar on the other side. My wife don't enter the living room for years. And my daughter too. Now when we were gone, she took, I'm not exaggerating, about 10 instruments out of the living room and she put it in the basement. I'm going to go back, what happened? It's like all my babies are gone. You know?
Yeah, I have guitar and piano in the living room and all my like drums and vibes and stuff are upstairs in the music room and I have a real hard time leaving the living room. So
Wow.
in the morning after breakfast I might sit down at the piano or pick up the guitar and play for fun, you know, because it's there.
Yeah.
And
At some point
that's
I have
so
to get-
weird because of course you're practicing, so you're not really playing in a way that somebody would want to listen to you.
Basically, we're all super
That
lazy.
is the conflict here.
Super lazy,
I
everybody.
don't think it is a conflict actually because I think and it all feeds in actually. It all you're growing all the time. Whatever you're doing. Yeah.
And also, this is another thing, when you go to the cellar to practice, you put your headphones on and you play unbelievably loud, and it's totally pointless to me, because then you have to take your headphones off and play with the guys. And so what is going to happen? You are far too loud, there's no communication, there's no way. So it's much better to use no headphones, just using your ears, and possibly put the music not at a volume that you have to deal with the music really, instead of just pop up the volume and smashing, you know. And I think this is for all the instruments, all instruments you have, especially for drummers, but everybody. Just trying to get sound from a very...
To drummers and guitar players, because those are the two that can actually crank. You know what I'm saying? Saxophone, you can go as loud as the instrument will let you. But drummers and guitar players, they have electric keyboard. Then you have the ability to like go like, oh man. Like, wow, you know, you're like so powerful, dude. I don't, it's like, you know, saxophone can't do it. It will sound like, that's what it sounds like, right?
Just the last thing to finish this workshop is, I mean, it should be actually another workshop is about finding your voice. What we all practice to be a better player, etc. But then finding your voice is actually the most important one. And so, about me, what I enjoy while I was practicing, I had a Telecaster, and I was into Mike Stern and trying to transcribe his music, and then Scott Henderson and other guys, and then I went to the Ibanez Scofield one, and I tried to transcribe Scofield, but at the end suddenly I realized, well, it doesn't matter if I try to copy this guy or that guy, and what I learned nicely is that learn what they do, try to create something out of it, and then completely forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I even go the opposite or something. And what was one of the nice things happened to me is suddenly I was into classical music and the nylon string sound, and at that time they were making this Godin guitar, nylon string, and suddenly I decided, well, that sounds good to me. I love playing jazz with that nylon string sound, and not many people do it, and the guitar speaks a bit more to me. And that was one first step. And then of course nylon string is usually acoustic sound, and then what I wanted to do when I got into Oriental sound, I loved those voice and the clarinet melodies, and so using a little bit of effects and trying to make the guitar sometimes sounds like a voice or like a clarinet or and a slight effect. That was really a nice thing for me. Of course, I'm not saying I found my voice or something so different, but it's something which I found worked for me. and then I put it out in the world, and sometimes people love it, and sometimes they still. So yeah.
We love it.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you, Amos. Thank you. Kim.
Listen, guys, I realized that we have some time issues in the jam session, and in the early years we used to kind of be very tough. We tried, kind of people who misbehaved in the jam. We used to lock them in a room all together. No, it kind of had there to play just the first bar of Now's the Time. Did it. Try it. Did it. No, Now's the Time is better. This is the other room. This is the people who. But what we found out was that they really enjoyed it. So it was really ineffective. It didn't work, this punishment. And we gave up. We decided that it's really down to you to behave. So I thought about it with some people, more clever than me because I'm not used to the process of thinking. And the best way to do it is when you go on stage, you think to yourself that you come for 2 tunes, okay? You come, you play two tunes. If nobody comes in, if there are 3 horns and there's another horn that want to play, you can stay. If there is no one to play the bass, you stay. But then you'll be patient. Then we have a jam session for the singers, so they can choose to go there. So everyone should have opportunity to play. If there is something that you want to do and the band want to do something else, wait another 15 minutes, okay? Because the other way around it is to bring back this Alcatraz siege and blues, you know? And now we have sharks around, you know, so you're gonna jump, you'll be fucked for life.
It could also be 1 tune, because if you have a lot of soloists, it's gonna be 10 minutes anyway, 10-15 minutes if each of you play. So maybe if it's a long lineup, you can just play 1 tune and then.
I want to add to what you said.
Two tunes, okay, but make sure that the band is not like 20. Exactly. 3 saxophones, 3 horns, 1 guitar, a rhythm section, okay? Do it like that. If you're not in, it will take another 15 minutes and then you will be there.
Also, nothing wrong with listening. It's always good to listen. Just like I used to go to many jam sessions and just listen.
In New York?
In New York.
Not in America.
Wherever you are, it's good to listen.
Of course.
At the end should be a fun experience for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to enjoy
others.
yourself. And if somebody kind of upset you, just use violence. If somebody upset you, don't get it. Because I was born in Israel, so Genocide. No. Okay? We learned, you know. If somebody upset you, you know, turn the other cheek. You know, take it. It's part of the.
It's part of the jam.
It's part of the jam.
It happens.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.